Switzerland, a country synonymous with banking. For decades, centuries even, the idea of a Swiss bank account has carried a certain mystique. Discretion, security, precision. But if you're moving here, working here, or even just considering life in Switzerland, that mystique quickly turns into something more practical. How do you actually open a Swiss bank account? Is it easy? Is it difficult? And what do you really need? Today we're breaking it all down, from paperwork and permits to debit cards, euros, and even the history behind Switzerland's banking giants. Let's start with the obvious question. Do you actually need one? Short answer, yes. If you're living or working in Switzerland, a local bank account isn't just helpful, it's essential. Your salary will almost always be paid into a Swiss account, and many aspects of daily life, from rent payments to health insurance, are built around the assumption that you have one. At first, you might try to get by with a foreign account, and technically, that can work for a short time. But fees start adding up quickly. Currency conversions eat into your money, and some services simply won't accept foreign IBANs without friction. So very quickly, opening a Swiss account shifts from optional to urgent. But here's where expectations often collide with reality. Unlike in some countries where opening a bank account can take minutes, Switzerland introduces a layer of structure. Your experience will depend heavily on who you are, your residency status, your nationality, your employment situation, and even which bank you walk into. For some, it's fast and painless. For others, it can feel like navigating a quiet but complex system of rules. The single biggest factor in opening a Swiss bank account is your legal status in the country. If you already have a residence permit, such as a B permit or a C permit, the process is usually straightforward. You'll typically need your passport or national ID, your residence permit, and proof of address. If you're employed, that adds another layer of reassurance for the bank. In this situation, opening an account can be surprisingly smooth. You walk in, provide your documents, answer a few questions, and you're on your way. But many expats arrive before their permit is finalized, and this is where things become less predictable. Some banks will allow you to open an account if you can show a signed work contract and proof that your permit is in process. Others will insist on waiting until your residency is fully approved. There's no universal rule. It depends on the institution. This is often the first moment where expats realize that Swiss banking is not a single system, but a network of independent decisions. Nationality also plays a significant role. For EU and EFTA citizens, the process is generally smooth and well understood. But for non-EU nationals, additional scrutiny is common. And for US citizens in particular, things can become noticeably more complex due to international regulations like FATCA. Swiss banks must comply with strict reporting requirements for American clients. This adds administrative overhead, and not all banks are willing to take it on. The result? Some banks welcome you. Others may decline, not because of you personally, but because of the compliance burden. Once you're eligible to open an account, the next question is, where? Switzerland offers several distinct types of banks, each with its own character. Retail banks are the most common choice. These are the everyday banks used by the majority of residents. They offer current accounts, debit cards, mobile banking, and basic financial services. They're practical, widely available, and designed for daily life. Then there are cantonal banks. These institutions are tied to individual cantons and often carry a strong local identity. Many have some level of state backing, which contributes to their reputation for stability. Cantonal banks tend to be conservative, reliable, and often competitively priced. For many expats, they strike a balance between tradition and practicality. Finally, there are private banks, the ones most closely associated with Switzerland's global financial image. These institutions focus on wealth management, investments, and high net worth individuals. For most people opening their first account in Switzerland, private banks are not the starting point, but they remain an important part of the broader ecosystem and part of the country's financial identity. So what does a Swiss bank account actually include? At its core, you'll receive a current account for everyday transactions. This is where your salary is deposited and your bills are paid from. You'll also receive a debit card, typically a Maestro or Debit MasterCard, which allows you to make purchases and withdraw cash. Online banking is standard, and most banks offer well-developed mobile apps. These are generally secure, functional, and designed with a focus on reliability rather than flashiness. Credit cards are usually separate products. Depending on your financial situation, you may need to pass a credit check or provide a deposit to secure one. Cash still plays a role in Switzerland, more than many newcomers expect. ATMs are widely available, and withdrawing francs is easy with a local account. However, fees can apply if you use another bank's ATM, and even more so for international withdrawals. Another important feature is multi-currency support. Many Swiss banks offer euro accounts or the ability to hold multiple currencies. This can be extremely useful if you travel frequently, work across borders, or receive income in different currencies. Without this, you may find yourself paying unnecessary conversion fees again and again. Swiss banking is known for quality, but it's rarely free. Most accounts come with monthly fees, along with charges for cards, ATM usage, and currency exchange. Some of these fees can be reduced or waived if you meet certain conditions, such as maintaining a minimum balance or receiving your salary into the account. But overall, it's important to expect some cost. In recent years, digital banks have emerged as an alternative. These app-based services offer lower fees, faster onboarding, and a more modern user experience. They're particularly attractive to younger expats or those who prioritize convenience. However, they often lack physical branches and may not offer the full range of services found in traditional banks. So choosing between a traditional and a digital bank often comes down to your priorities, cost versus completeness. When it comes time to actually open the account, the process is structured but predictable. You'll either book an appointment or apply online. You'll provide identification, submit documents, and answer compliance-related questions. Once approved, your account is opened, but the process doesn't end there. Your card arrives by post, your PIN arrives separately. Everything is designed with security in mind, even if it takes a little longer. Swiss banking reflects Swiss culture itself. It is structured, detail-oriented, and rule-driven. Processes are followed carefully. Documentation matters. And while this can feel rigid at times, it also creates a system that is highly reliable. For expats, the biggest mistakes often come from mismatched expectations. Waiting too long to open an account can create unnecessary stress. Choosing a bank based purely on brand recognition can lead to higher fees. Ignoring currency options can cost money over time. A bit of research and a bit of patience goes a long way. In the end, opening a Swiss bank account may not feel glamorous. There's paperwork involved, there are rules to follow, and sometimes there are delays. But once everything is set up, the system does what it's designed to do. It works quietly, efficiently, and reliably. And perhaps that's the real story behind Swiss banking. Not mystery, not secrecy, but systems that function exactly as they should. If you're planning your move to Switzerland, this is one of the first real steps into everyday life. And once you've done it, you're not just visiting anymore. You're settling in.